Before the pandemic, our building was full. 3 nights a week, most rooms were occupied, and we could hear many happy voices echoing through the halls. In those pre-pandemic days, God was bringing many new families into our church, but space was tight, and we knew we needed to step out in faith and plan for the future. As we prayed, our elders felt called to focus on kids and youth. We felt an urgency about this. We all knew we were living in a unique cultural moment. Parents see many things competing for their kids' attention, things that lure them away from faith and family, from goodness and God. As a church, we wanted to be part of the solution. And we really claimed this promise. Jesus gave a promise in Matthew 16:18. He said, "On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." That promise is still in force. And when you look at our culture today, sometimes it seems like the gates of hell are prevailing and that our kids are the target. Well, we wanted to stand with parents on that promise so that our kids could go the distance in Christ. After a lot of prayer, we decided to build this current building under the theme, Transforming the Next Generation. Looking back over the past 3 years, our church has been incredibly generous. Even during the global pandemic, our church raised over $2 million toward the facility. We could not be more thankful for what's happened. Our faith is so much stronger today than it was even 3 years ago. As construction on this building was nearing completion, our staff and elders were confronted with a new question. How do we steward the fresh opportunities that this building provides? New families have started coming to our church. New small groups were formed. More seekers were coming to celebrate recovery. And with all of that, people in our city have become curious. What is God doing at Grace Community Church? We have many new opportunities to serve Bartlesville with kindness and love. So our heart, our emphasis over the next 3 years is still on the next generation, but our focus is more targeted. We're going from transforming the next generation to equipping the next generation. We want to equip the next generation and the leaders who serve them. To be even more specific, we want to be a church family that partners with families to equip a rising generation. Now, one mission-critical piece in this campaign is reducing debt. When we planned this facility, we knew that the scope of our project would require the strategic use of short-term debt. Now, as a church, we strive to be debt-free, and that's a really strong value for us. In the past, we've disciplined ourselves, and we were debt-free for about 10 years, and we love the freedom of this. But in this specific case, we felt the strategic use of short-term debt was prudent to fulfill a vision that would extend for the next 30 years. As we step into equipping the next generation stewardship campaign, the elders and I have a request, and I'll tell you, it's a humble request. We ask you to pray about giving consistently and perhaps even sacrificially toward the campaign. To be specific, we're asking that you would prayerfully consider giving over and above your regular giving for the next 3 years. That's 2023 through 2026. Our hope, our prayer is that over the next 3 years, we could raise $1.9 million to retire the debt and complete every detail of this space, these facilities that we are already using very abundantly. Now, I know this is a big ask, so here's what we're asking you to do first. We're asking that you would pray. We believe that through prayer, God will inspire each of us with a number to give that will be consistent with how He's working among us. It might be a number that stretches you, but sometimes that stretching is good because it's in trusting God that we discover new things about His miraculous provision and power. I love our church. I love what we've become in the last 3 years. Over the past 3 years, we have weathered an international crisis. We've been faithful in the use of our finances. We've been very prudent in the construction of the building that you see behind me. And we're reaping many good things that have come from our God-centered discipline. As I often say to you, and I've said this a lot, I often talk to my wife and I say, man, I love our church. I feel that nearly every Sunday. I love our church. But I'm convinced that greater days are ahead of us. What I want to do is equip the next generation to be a beacon of Christ to their generation. We can do this. We can be a church that transforms the next generation, equipping them to go the distance with Christ.